What's up, everybody? My name is Joe Brown. This is Heresy Financial, and happy Thanksgiving. And first of all, I would like to say that I know that it seems like in pretty much every video I make, I'm talking about something that is bad that's happening or something bad that might be happening in the future. And I really apologize for that because that's not how I see the world, because in reality, the world is getting much better. Unimaginably better. It always has and it always will. So in the spirit of Thanksgiving today, I want to present to you guys some facts, some data to show exactly how the world is getting so much better and provide hope that we haven't peaked and it isn't just all downhill from here. We have so much to look forward to. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, let's start with a thought experiment. You've got an average day, an average person. Let's say they take an Uber to get home. They walk inside, flip on the lights as they go inside. It's a hot summer day, so they turn on their air conditioning to cool the place down. You yell out, "Hey, Alexa, play my playlist." Music starts, and then they open their fridge, they realize they forgot to go grocery shopping, so they whip out their phone, go to DoorDash, Postmates, get some Italian delivered for dinner, and then they watch a movie on Netflix, take a shower, go to bed. And then right before they fall asleep, they realize, hey, earlier I heard some coworkers talking about something, somebody mentioned the word disinflation, and I don't know what the word disinflation means, and so they grab their phone, Google, hey, disinflation definition, find out disinflation means the rate of inflation decreasing, just like a car that is moving forward, but it's slowing down. Still moving forward, but it's going from 60 to 50 to 40, whatever. Inflation, if you look at last year, it was 6%. This year, it's 5%. Prices are still going up, but they're going up at a slower pace than they were. That is disinflation. So they find that out on their phone. They think, okay, great, put their phone away and go to sleep. Think about what this person just experienced. This is something that virtually every single American or every single person on earth almost has access to, regardless of rich or poor. Even 150 years ago, none of this was available to even the richest person on earth. Think of what you'd have to do to have that kind of lifestyle even 150 years ago. First of all, you'd have to have a personal chauffeur 24/7 ready to drive you around everywhere you want, anywhere you want, to replace Uber. You'd have to have a staff waiting at home, ready to light the lamps to provide light to you at home whenever you want, so that you don't have to do it yourself, like flipping on the light switch. There's no such thing as air conditioning, so regardless of what the situation is there, if it's hot, you're just hot. You'd need to have a band on call 24/7 waiting in your house, so that if you want any music, they have to have all the music in the world memorized. They can play it for you on demand. You need a chef on staff full-time to make any meal you desire on demand. You'd need a home theater to replace Netflix with actors who have memorized every play available, who can perform the play in your home theater at any time of day that you want. And you'd need a staff just to heat up water to provide hot running water for you to bathe instead of taking a shower. And the biggest kicker, every person on earth has access to all of the collective information of humanity from all of recorded history. Not only is all knowledge available to anyone on demand for free, but practical application of that knowledge is available to everyone today. So not only can you find the answer to any question you have, you can find out how to actually get good at doing something. The internet is the ultimate coach. You can become almost an expert level in anything today for free, and it's available 24/7. It is just unbelievable the level of wealth and luxury available at our fingertips today. And all these things, it's preposterous, the level of luxury that wasn't available to anyone even 150 years ago, regardless of how wealthy they were. And I think the very fact that legacy establishments like legacy medical establishment and universities and even things like full-time jobs, many other things, prove that most people don't realize how much even something like just the internet alone is changing our reality and will change our future. All right, so enough with the thought experiment. Let's move on to some key metrics. Let's start off with life expectancy. For most of human history, life expectancy was around 30 to 40 years old. It is now around 70 to 80 years old. But I need to correct something about this because it's not for the reason you might expect. Most people think that on average, if you were an adult, you would die around 30 or 40. That is not true. That statistic has been skewed by child mortality because today, if you live to 50 or 60, your chances of living to 70 or 80, even if you live to 20, your chances of living to higher ages, though that data hasn't significantly changed for hundreds of years. Child mortality is what has skewed that data because there used to be so many kids dying before they even reached the age of 5 that skewed the overall average life expectancy. There were so many people that died before 5 that it brought the average life expectancy down from 70 to 40. So the real benefit here is that children aren't dying anymore. That's even better than just average life expectancy going up. Child mortality has plummeted. So let's take a look. It used to be that even in like 1800, over 40% of children died before their 5th birthday, before they turned 5 years old. Today, that number globally, not even in the most developed countries, globally, that number is under 4%. Less than 4% of children die before their 5th birthday today. That is unbelievable how much progress we've made in health and wealth that has gotten us to this point. We're by no means close to the finish line there. There's a lot of work ahead, but that is fantastic news that kids are barely dying anymore. And there are 2 reasons for this that I just mentioned. Number 1 is health, right? We've had massive developments and leaps forward in health and just basic hygiene. Doctors used to think that they didn't have to wash their hands. They'd go from inspecting a corpse to delivering a baby. So we've had massive leaps forward in understanding about germs, washing hands, hygiene, basic stuff like that. And that has been a giant contributor. The second thing is actually wealth, and people being lifted out of poverty has contributed to this, and I will show you why. Almost half of everyone on Earth 40 years ago, over 40% lived in extreme poverty. That is under $1.90 per day is the threshold for extreme poverty, and over 40% of the world in 1980 lived below $1.90 a day. That's almost half. That's absolutely crazy. And as of today, that number is less than 10%. Less than 10% of people around the world live on less than $1.90 per day. Now, again, are we at the finish line? No. Do we still have a lot of work to do? Absolutely. Is that unbelievable, mind-blowing progress that in 40 years, we've gone from almost half the world population, almost 4 billion people, down to less than 10% living on $1.90 per day? That is absolutely, without a doubt, massively, incredibly good news. Now, there are some people who hate humanity who say that that's a bad thing, who say that that's going to lead to overpopulating the planet. Well, guess what? More good news. This is not going to lead to overpopulation of the planet. On the contrary, actually. So in every country and every culture that goes through a transition from extreme poverty and low health to healthy and wealthy, you have birth rates long-term plummet. And here's why. Most people throughout history have had 2 to 3 kids. The problem is, it used to be you had to have like half a dozen kids just to have half of them survive so you could be left with 2 to 3 kids. And that's why today, boomers all have 4, 5, 6, 7 siblings, right? Because we went through this transition period where people were still having tons of babies, but then health exploded and people realized soon, it took a little while, but people realized I don't need to have 6 or 7 kids just to have 2 or 3 survive. And so people stopped having that many kids because they're all surviving. And now people are having 2 to 3 kids again. And this is not just American or a Western or developed country thing. We can see this happen across every country and culture that goes through this transition to healthy and wealthy. As kids stop dying, people stop having as many kids. And at the current rate, you can track the trends of birth rates and the current birth rates and the current world population. We can see that the global population will likely plateau around 10 to 12 billion people before that birth rate levels off to just continue to support the current level of population and won't grow or decline from there. So in contrast to what people say who hate humanity, if we actually want a sustainable future, if we actually want a plentiful future, we need to help the world become as wealthy and as healthy, as effectively and as quickly as possible. Now, here's another key statistic. Violent crimes. The data from hundreds of years ago is a little bit sparse, but from what we can tell, the world used to be a much more violent place. There are far fewer violent crimes today than there used to be. And even if you do not trust the sparse data from hundreds of years ago, if you just look at the last couple of decades, violent crimes, even in America, that's right, even in America, have just been plummeting over the last few decades, which if you ever pay attention to mainstream media and news, you would not have any idea that this is the case. Violent crimes are on the decline at a very quick rate. All right, and the next key metric is extreme wealth. And here's the deal. I know the demographics of this channel, and I know that if you're watching this, you likely don't think of yourself as extremely wealthy. But the reality is, first of all, in light of history, you absolutely are. Even if you have basically nothing, right? Remember the thought experiment that we did at the beginning? All of the technology, the quality of life, the luxuries everybody has available to them. In light of history, you are extremely wealthy. Second of all, in light of global wealth distribution, you are in the top 10%. If your net worth is $94,000 or higher, you are in the top 10% globally. And 99.9% of you are already there. And if you're not there, well, that's good news that you're here because you're in good company. Further, the majority of you are actually in the top 1% globally. Because if you have a net worth of $1 million or more, you are in the top 1% net worth globally. So first of all, let's be extremely grateful. We have so much to be thankful for. Second of all, let's recognize that we have the resources, even though sometimes we might not think so. We have the resources to do some amazing things for good in this world. And here's the key. It's not like it doesn't. It's not like it only gets universally better, right? Because there is volatility. When you look at progress, there are certain times, there are certain places where things absolutely get worse, right? All we have to do is look at the 1900s. All we have to do is look at the isolated places where there was massive evil, where there was massive incompetence, where there were things going on that were not considered progress, right? Large amounts of death, large amounts of suffering, right? And so I'm not discounting that that happens or the possibility that that can happen. But this is why we vote with our feet and we vote with our dollars. Feet and dollars are the only votes that count. And that's not prescriptive, that's descriptive. I'm not saying to vote with your feet and your dollars. I'm saying that that's what happens. Every dollar you spend is a vote for how capital should be allocated in this world, the world that you want to live in. Every dollar you spend is a vote for who, what companies or what individuals in this world should have resources, more resources to shape this world. And so, number one, be mindful of where you send your dollars, where you spend your money, what you spend your money on. And where we live is a vote for the laws and the culture that we think are most valuable in this world. If you say, like an example of this is that if you say you think Amazon is a good stock, but you don't own any, well, you don't actually believe it, right? So action reveals belief, not the other way around. So where we live and how we spend our money is a vote that counts for the future of the world that we want to live in. And I'll close with a quote here from Thomas Babington Macaulay from the year 1830. So right smack in the middle of the Industrial Revolution here. In every age, everybody knows that up to his own time, progressive improvement has been taking place. Nobody seems to reckon on any improvement, though, in the next generation. We cannot absolutely prove that those are in error, that those people are wrong, who say that society has reached a turning point. We can't prove them wrong, that we have seen our best days. But everybody has said the same thing, everybody who came before us, and with just as much apparent reasoning for saying so. So on what principle is it that with nothing but improvement behind us, are we to expect nothing but deterioration before us? And so that is the quote I would like to leave you with today, that we can look back all throughout history and see basically long-term overall trend, nothing but progress. So with what reason do we have to look at today and declare that now is a turning point, that we've peaked now and there's nothing but downhill ahead of us? I'm going to bet that the trend of history will hold up. That momentum of progress, that freedom, that innovation, that people more and more and more doing the right thing and learning from the past will prevail, and that we will continue to move forward. Finally, two great books on progress that I love: How Innovation Works by Matt Ridley and Factfulness by Hans Rosling. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.